totally something called some dive bags. Okay. I hope you guys like that. That's some hard work over there by Mr. Mark. Mark Weaver made that new crazy Cybertron looking whatever that thing is with some nice orange stuff. I thought it looked really great. So, I just want to say I'm really, really fortunate. You guys have been super supportive, and already just through doing this channel, I've met some really great people here online, and a couple of great guys in person. Mark's one of them. He came over today. He was helping me try to set up. We're trying to set up a streaming, so I can stream on my Facebook. I almost said MySpace, Facebook, and YouTube at the same time, called Restream. I don't know what was going on. I thought it was kind of working, but then maybe not working, and then I didn't want to leave you guys hanging over here because this is where all the support is. Although I'm still getting like a chat feed through Restream. I just think that the stream is probably stopped on Facebook. Although I'm not really exactly sure, but I'm just gonna have to learn more about this stuff. I do want to get as many people over on this channel as is humanly possible, so we can go ahead and start doing tutorials and other stuff. But there's a lot of cool stuff going on. So I got last night, besides the usual emails, couple of really good emails came in. That's really good news for Junker and especially for the people in Europe, where I feel like it's just, well, actually Canada too. Like, I'm really tired of dealing with the. I feel like the guys in Canada too are getting pretty ripped off, because so in Canada and Europe, if you don't know, you just guys have to pay extra taxes and stuff when the stuff ships up there, and I really feel like a lot of that depends on the mood of the border people and customs agents. It seems like it's whatever, they pull it out of their butt, and sometimes charge what seems to be reasonable, and then sometimes not. I've had friends in Europe be charged not on the value, but then they decided to weigh it and then assign this weird value. They did that to a customer of mine in England because they thought the package was I guess too heavy to be something that cost the amount of money that it costs, or some nonsense like that. So the good emails that I got is, at least in Sweden, the wheels are turning slowly but a little bit, as far as trying to figure out how to do production overseas, so anyone that's in Europe can get stuff and not be slammed on the taxes, and also slammed on waiting. Waiting when you send these packages. I have people in France and Germany that just were fed up. It was like 3 months that their stuff was in customs, and they're asking me, if I know what's going on. And unfortunately, once I send something and you have the customs number, then it's about the country that it goes to, and I can't do anything about it once it's over there. And I just think that sucks. So finding better ways to get into Canada and into Europe is like it's a big deal. It's something I really want to do, and we're figuring it out. So the good thing that happened is Sweden government officials said they want to keep working together, and it was just kind of a positive, hey, checking in and that kind of thing, and then figuring out all the things I have to do to move forward. to do possible Sweden production of Junker stuff. That's because I met some guys over there, and there's a good area where I could do the production. There's plenty of space. Um, it's in a great part of the country that looks amazing. It's 2 hours north or so of Stockholm. It's where I did the screen printing class and aging class, and we had a fashion show over there. And the way things work over there is really amazing. I got taken by Mr. Olaf, took me over and actually met a bunch of people that work in government. There was like a young entrepreneurs breakfast, like they host a breakfast, and you go there and you see like who's doing what, and new business owners talk about what they're doing, or longtime business owners tell you about like what's new and what they're trying new. And it was just super cool, and seemed like they're actually pretty supportive of small businesses, even if they come from not Sweden. And people are willing to like take chances and do weird stuff, which is the kind of stuff that I like to do. And it's great there. It's really nice. I had no problem living there for a few years or so, and working on stuff and flying back to Texas and do films, I guess, whenever necessary. And the other great thing that came in this morning is confirmation of Poland. I'm not going to give all the details, but it's in Warsaw, Poland. There is a business owner who's going to start carrying Junker. So for people in Poland and people in the surrounding area, because Europe is so close together, it's probably way less in petrol to drive to Warsaw and check out some stuff than it is to pay the stupid shipping to get stuff over to you guys in Europe. And he's going to be carrying like a wide range of stuff in Poland. I think it's supposed to be there ready to go before Christmas. I guess worst case scenario would be New Year's. And once again, because we're using the old method, we're going to do all the production here, and then it has to ship all the way over there, is to really get, I guess, the one order in there before we figure out better ways to do things. And then there's a third part, which is also really good, is I heard back from some German business owners, and I don't want to give up their details because I haven't really asked them if I can talk about what they do on YouTube and all that other stuff. But they have a clothing company and a bunch of stores, and they do production in Europe, and I think that they can give me lots of hints and give me like a really good inside view of how to do productions in Europe. Like where to get supplies, like where's the best T-shirts I can get, and can I get them to Sweden, and is it easy to get them to Sweden, and should I send it on an airplane, or do I send it on a boat, or whatever? Like all this stuff is like fascinating new stuff that we're gonna figure out hopefully here pretty soon. Make sure to let me know that you're having fun and you're in this chat and you're live, and hopefully subscribe and share this. This one is mostly probably about Poland and what's new with Junker. And then there's some other news, definitely, it keeps on bubbling up. That's why I'm thinking like, and this is just my opinion, and from the articles that I read, is like James Cameron's going to do whatever the F he wants to do with his IP, and I believe that he owns at least the rights to make as many motion pictures as he wants with Alita. And I think that, like I said yesterday, 20th Century Fox is probably just the distributor and all that stuff. So here's Slick, which it's always good to get Slick in here because he's over in Germany, so he can let us know what's going on. And if it is easier to do production in Germany, then it'd be fun to do some limited production stuff in Germany. Find some artists to do some collaborations with in Germany. The idea is to use, hopefully, Sweden as this central hub, and then, because then it'd be easier for me to get to a bunch of places in Europe, is do classes and collaborations and special events and stuff all over Europe, because I'll be like right there. It'd be super easy, and so like I think the sky's the limit. Like once it gets started, because so many countries are so close together, and I live in Texas, and that's it's huge. So I think Germany and Poland and probably a couple other countries fit into Texas. So driving places is not a big deal for me. Taking airplanes is not a big deal for me. Why is your face on the bars? Hello. All right, that's the rat. The rat is here, smushing her fat cheeks through the. Hey, say hey. Say hey, and off she goes with her chunkless. That is the sweetest daughter you could ever want. Such a sweetie. And it's weird because, she puts her fat face through the gate over here, and I'm not going to stop the stream still. But I might go grab her anyway. So Slick saying is there's a designer, second favorite designer after you, Swedish, but lived in Berlin for a long time. Kissing Bombs. Rad. I mean, hook us up on, all, I don't know if you can put links in here, or I'd like to know, like, as many people as possible. Like, I like meeting other designers. Just like everything else, half of them are dicks, and then half of them aren't. So it's awesome to meet people. But that'd be really cool. I've done actually a fashion show at a place called, I think it was called White Trash Fast Food or something. It was a place in Berlin, and that was a lot of fun. It was kind of a cluster F with the organization, and then it just it was what it was. But I want to definitely go back there and do it right this time. So Germany is always on the table. I've already been there. I've already done some fashion show in France. Been there and done one in Germany, and now in Sweden, and then I think early next year will be Poland. April is, I believe, Dallas, Texas. I'm doing something, and I mentioned it yesterday. I don't know if you guys were listening. There's also Dystopia Con is coming up, and I need to bother them again. I think that's in November, and I believe that's in Los Angeles or California somewhere. And I'll definitely go do that. And I don't know why this camera is so blown out. I don't know if you guys want me to fix that or if it doesn't matter. Probably doesn't matter that much. It's just makes me look younger. I get that. Yeah, I get that. Good Lord. It's a cluster F. I think that kid's tearing up the house. Vanadorm, or yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll check it out for sure. So back to that Alita news, and I'll talk about whatever you guys want. This is a fashion channel, but like if you want fashion news as far as fashion goes, I don't follow fashion. I follow films, and my aesthetics really came from watching, The Road Warrior and Alien and Star Wars, and then being into a bunch of bands like the, Dead Boys and Hanoi Rocks and Cherry Bombs and, whoever else, White Zombie, early White Zombie stuff, all the crazy metal bands, yeah, stuff like that. So as far as fashion goes, I don't follow that stuff. I don't know much about it. High fashion is you know, it is what it is. It's just like I just wear, want to make stuff that I would wear, and so that's kind of the approach that I have for that, which is why it's such a big deal. I'm always coughing when I get on this thing. Damn, I'm drinking too much coffee or something. Why it's such a big deal to be working on a film like Alita, and then whatever the sequels are going to be, is because, like I said, it got started with Star Wars for me. I saw Star Wars, and before that, I'd been building all these weird tank models and stuff. And then, yeah, got totally sci-fied out and got hooked on Alien. And if you look at the Junker stuff, like that's why a lot of the Junker design stuff has those nonsensical, really big grommets and stuff up and down the back, which now like a bunch of other people do as well. But that's really a tribute to the xenomorph, because I couldn't put big horns coming off the back of a jacket so much. But I could put some big holes, that were kind of reminiscent of the xenomorph. I guess those are like the, I don't know. I think they're supposed to be like breathing tubes in the back of the alien, of the xenomorph, from what I understand. So that's why I have like a lot of those big grommets and stuff on the back of like the Demu coats, and then Officer's Jacket has it, and a lot of other stuff has it. That's really like a nod to Alien. As far as like some of the other stuff, it just kind of is a hybrid of like sci-fi and heavy metal stuff, kind of like in my brain. There's always like a little bit of Road Warrior like here and there. Right now, yesterday, I started the new bunch of denim jackets that I'm going to do that are going to be all based on the picture that I showed you guys yesterday. So those are in progress. I did get a bunch of that stuff cut out and sewn yesterday. So that's coming along. So that's definitely like a big deal. And so the Alita news just continues to kind of roll forward, and my fantasy would be to somehow, and I don't know if this happens or not, but you get signed on to do a chunk of work that would take up like 5 years of my life or something. I would be just fine with that, and there would be ways to get all the other businesses to continue. Right now, it's extremely difficult trying to do a film and then find someone to come in and do the mail. Basically, because there's only a couple of people I trust, and even and then you have to work around their schedule, and then it'll get better. I guess is what I'm saying. The roughest part of the past like 3 years is probably over, I think. And you have growing pains and growing into a bunch of new stuff, a bunch of new ways of doing business, a bunch of stuff we're exploring, having a bunch of stuff also drops ship from the people that actually would print them. Like I'm thinking about outsourcing tons of the printing and other stuff, and so that means you'd have like two kind of different versions of Junker. You would have stuff that's printed on shirts and hats and all that stuff. It's not going to be aged at all. And so I have to figure out if there's people are even interested in just the graphic parts without all the aging parts. And then there's all the aging parts, which is I have to do myself. And that's why some stuff can take forever and ever and ever, because I have to do it when I get there. I'm not always in Los Angeles. And but I guess like, probably like 95% of the company is sitting there still, and then I have some here, and so it's like finding the balance between those two things, and and so it's always something, and so the Alita news basically is the same thing that I already told you guys yesterday, but it seems like it's getting amplified more. And now there's even more recent articles about it, and the articles are basically saying that James Cameron's going to do whatever the F he wants to do, and you'll probably end up getting more stuff sooner than, I guess, later. I don't want that. Yeah. So I think that's that. And then the other stuff in the Star Wars territory is the same stuff that now everyone's carrying. Everyone jumped on it that cares about Star Wars. Is basically George Lucas got Hollywooded big time. I already said this a couple of days ago. Um, it's pretty typical. If you think of, if you haven't been there and you haven't been in the business, just think about some of the worst people you can imagine and some of the best people you could possibly ever imagine. And they're all in a place that's relatively small. And the worst people you could ever imagine also happen to be used car salesmen and narcissists and out of touch. And then the good people are just the best people you could possibly imagine. Like just, I mean, I've met really, 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 really great people from being in Los Angeles. I don't want to sound like I'm bagging on LA at all. I mean, it's dirty and it's crazy, and that's what you get when you go there. It's also totally amazing. Has really great art, really great food, really great people. But if you do get involved in the music biz or any of the biz, I'm sure it happens if you're in the like bricklaying biz or house building business, that you're gonna run across some of the most swindly, slimy, unrepentant, narcissistic backstabbers you've ever met in your life. I think that's the nature of business and the nature of money. I don't know why people think they take money with them when they die, because you certainly don't. You leave it to probably to, I don't know, I don't know. Anyway, and so the job they pulled on George Lucas basically was not at all unusual for those kinds of situations where someone's like, yeah, sure, yeah, no, yeah, you got some new ideas and stuff. Sounds great, dude. Sounds great. We want to make sure we get all this other crap from you, and we're going to give you a bunch of money. We'll give you some other money for these outlines. And I think the broader picture that some people haven't talked about, but it has been mentioned online, is that the theory is, and I don't know if anyone has any proof or not, is that they owe George Lucas money for, I guess, screen time or usage of what's considered legacy characters, which I guess is any character that was in the other films, I suppose, from, I guess, I don't know if it would be Star Wars Empire and Return of the Jedi, and I don't know if it includes the prequels or not, because they have Ewan McGregor in their stable now. So I wonder if they cut some kind of deal where it had to do with legacy characters that were and original actors. So then Alec Guinness is dead, so they don't have to pay Ewan McGregor as much because he's part of the prequels, and they just got the rights to the characters from New Hope on, or the three there. I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass. I have no idea. But anyway, that's supposedly the reason why Boba Fett became the Mandalorian, and why Luke Skywalker's dead, Han Solo's dead, and why they're supposed to maybe kill Chewbacca also. And that's why I probably won't see the film, because I can't stand to see Chewbacca again. Hurt again, not again. Chewbacca's. But yeah, so that's what's going on, I think, in that stuff as well. And the thing is, I should probably just go and watch Star Wars, because it's actually really good. So, luckily on VHS, I still own all the other movies in their unaltered form. So I have Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi on VHS still, and so those are the unaltered versions that I enjoy. When the other versions came out, where you had a little bit of the, well, CGI crazy on some of the stuff. I felt like some of the CGI you could probably keep, and then some of it you could get rid of. Like expanding the way Cloud City looks, I don't really have a problem with some of that stuff. Making Mos Eisley look like you know, Mardi Gras festival was like Jawas flying off the backs of dinosaurs and crap. It was just like it didn't really play into Luke Skywalker's whole thing of being in the middle of nowhere, because he could have just gone to Mos Eisley and hung out and partied. It's not like he couldn't have gotten away, but when it was the way it was presented originally, you look there and you're like, yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing going on here. And it would seem like if he was going to get on someone's spaceship, he would be, you know, indentured servitude or something to get off of that planet. Because I'm sure they would look at him and just be like, yeah, look, yeah, all right, kid, so you want to get off this planet, it's going to cost you big time. And by big time, I mean big time. And so I think that it was a lot more effective for Mos Eisley to be really like isolated and messed up looking, and you know, like the Old West. Oh man, don't get me started, Zach. Well, it's ridiculous. For one, the scene so Zach's asking about Han Solo shooting first. And, of course, he shoots first because he knows Greedo is a scumbag. He also knows who he works for. They have that whole conversation. And Greedo pretty much says, you know, that's the idea. When he talks about taking his ship, and Han Solo says, like, over my dead body. Of course he would shoot him. Because he knew what was coming. So I don't know what the thinking was there, but if you look at the scene anyway, with Greedo shooting first, the shot practically bends out of the tip of his blaster and then hits the wall. It's his gun is pointed pretty much right at Han Solo, so how it ends up on the wall, kind of over to the side of him, doesn't make sense. If there would have been extra Greedo footage or something, and they could have cut it together and made it look like, you know, Greedo tried to, I don't know, just walk in and ambush him or something. Yeah, but man, that scene is so great. I think the way it is, it's like and that's when we don't know what Jabba is. We have no idea like what he looks like. The scenes that were Jabba scenes were cut out. Obviously, it wouldn't wouldn't have worked with that actor they had in the big, like, kind of bear pelt looking vest as a through line, but it kills me, dude. Tell you what. So it looks terrible, and then to add insult on the injury, then they reinsert the weird Jabba the Hutt scene that you don't really need, and then it turns into some really weird comic relief, I guess, where Han Solo steps on his tail or something, and the CGI on Jabba the Hutt looks pretty terrible, as it does in the prequels. It's just really bad. I'm not sure how it ended up so bad. I think maybe because there's so much of it, possibly. Like I said, I'm just not a prequels fan either. So I guess it just added to my I don't care, because everything was like so CGI crazy. I was like, man, enough of that. You know, because it's so weird. I still can't tell the difference between a starfield that's created with the old method, which was, I believe, they got a piece of plexi and painted it black, and then a bunch of guys over at Lucasfilm were scratching tiny, like, little dots out of this piece of plexiglass so they could make a starfield they could shoot light through. Like, that starfield doesn't look any different than a CGI starfield to me, which is, I think, where CGI is used best. But I definitely know the difference between a Jawa selling droids on Tatooine and some CGI Jawas like falling off a giant dinosaur in the middle of Mos Eisley, which is also pretty out of perspective, and the way the land speeder tries to travel through there like doesn't really make sense. It's like the mapping is off or something. And I could go down, I guess, the nerd hole all day long on that stuff. But instead of complaining, which would be pretty easy to do at this point, um, when you see, even from the J.J. Abrams films, and I was just watching something last night on YouTube, when you see an X-wing full size sitting anywhere behind the scenes, uh, or in a in a shot from the film, it's still super amazing. I think it's still totally great. I think the Millennium Falcon is the weirdest and most iconic spaceship I think ever. I think it's really weird because Star Wars, design wise, like nailed it, nailed it, nailed it, and nailed it. Because it's like you see a triangle and you just think Star Destroyer. Everyone knows what a TIE fighter looks like. X Wings, even like B Wings. But I mean, so many iconic like shapes, so much iconic design, so much great stuff. And you can see why it just kind of, you know, you can't get away from. There's always going to be Star Destroyers, I think, in every film, because I think when you see one, you just like, crap is about to happen. Someone's about to get messed up big time. Even though when you see Star Destroyers getting messed up, or you see how was that mega ship that crashed into the Death Star, the Executor or whatever it was called, the Super Star Destroyer. That thing was badass. Like, all Star Destroyers to me are killer. Man, I love that stuff. I'm not sure I understand that question, but just explain yourself some more. J.J. Abrams, you love the series Lost. I felt like the end of it, I was like, what the F is going on here? And the thing that J.J. Abrams, I think, does really, really well is kind of take somebody's idea and then run with it. As far as I can tell, because if you've seen his love letter to Steven Spielberg, I think it's called Super 8 or 8mm or something like that, about these kids, and there's Monster, and that movie was really great, and you could see like he's really good at recreating moments that directors have kind of already done, like capturing those same kind of feeling and stuff. So I think he's really good at that. I've been heard that other people pretty much share that same opinion. He's really good at not original content, but taking stuff and really kind of like running with it. And you could really talk a lot of crap about The Force Awakens, but we're going to stay positive on that. So the things that I really liked about Force Awakens before it got a little cuckoo, I mean, the whole thing got the whole thing got ruined. But all the great stuff that he set up, like the only way it works for you to not show Mark Hamill for a whole film is to come up with that last scene, which was totally brilliant. I think probably one of the best cliffhangers I can remember, and one that was utterly and totally and completely undermined and destroyed by that idiot. We all know who I'm talking about. subverting expectations doesn't mean that's doesn't mean that it's good. I think knowing your fan base and doing some fan service there's nothing wrong with that. Do you think the Rolling Stones don't not play Brown Sugar because they don't effing want to? They probably play it because they know it's like a hit and it's a fan favorite. Or Start Me Up. Yeah, X-Wings are great. I think it was so cool because X-Wings are so different than TIE fighters. It was really great stylistic choices to make because you know what ship is belonging to what guy. There's no question at all. And so even with all the TIE fighter variants like the TIE bombers or TIE interceptors or anyone else, any other TIE fighters they come up with, it's a freaking TIE fighter. And you're always going to get that bulbous little kind of like command center in there. So, I mean, you have those, and then you have Star Destroyers, and then there's a bunch of other stuff, but like those are totally recognizable. And then for, of course, the Rebels, the Rebellion, you've got X-Wings, and you got B-Wings, which I really, really love B-Wings with that kind of rotating canvas shell, or what's the proper word for it? Well, that rotating cockpit, so the rest of the ship can kind of like do what it needs to do. I like to picture like you're in there and you can lock on a target and the whole ship can like swing around with its gun, because it's like a fixed gun on the bottom of that tail, and then they have the fixed guns on there. So I like to pretend maybe like the other one, I don't know, the bigger one is like a 40 millimeter cannon or something, and maybe the other ones are light lasers. Someone knows all this because they write all this crap down in all these books that they do. Hey, Jason. Yeah, the ships were really. I mean, all I know, George Lucas likes to do different stuff. Fine, totally fine. That Queen Amidala ship, all silver one, I thought was really, really cool because I felt like that was kind of him. Because all this was based on Buck Rogers' Flash Gordon serials, is where he got Star Wars ideas from. And that felt like that could have been in one of those serials from way back. Obviously an updated version, but, like all chrome is a very antiquated way to think of the future. Everything is going to be shiny and chrome and plastic, which is cool. And so I thought that ship was really good, but those the droids and those battle tanks and all that stuff, it didn't just didn't have it, man. Something didn't have it. And I guess you could say stylistically it might be like not really spreading your wings to have all the ships have like greeblies and stuff all over them, but it seems like it was kind of part of the universe. And I just don't think that those I think those tanks could have used another pass probably. And definitely those droids look way too they were way too lightweight. And I know there was a heavier like assault droid that they used as well, but putting a bunch of those scrawny guys out there just seems like a waste of resources. I mean, I don't know, maybe they didn't care. So who knows? Like I don't know. But yeah, like when I think about the prequels, I don't actually remember very much about it. And I think the thing that was interesting, because people complain a lot about the stuff with what's that Chrome lady's name who got her ass whipped twice? Captain Phasma. They did the same thing with Darth Maul. Darth Maul was a badass. That guy didn't last that long. I mean, it seems like he should have lasted a while. It looks like he's still alive, too. Or possibly still alive. He's supposed to maybe show up in the next bunch of films. The problem with the next bunch of films is I think that Um, they're going to try and construct a movie that's based on a bunch of flashbacks and prehistory that's supposed to make us care about like what's going to go on ultimately in the movie. And I just don't. Personally, I just don't like flashbacks all that much. Um, yeah, Darth Maul's badass. And so the other thing that I was like kind of really perplexing was that, and I don't know if this is because they have to pay George Lucas by the minute, like when they use legacy characters maybe or something, is that Darth Maul's in the last part of the Solo film, and you, why not have Darth Maul like in the movie? You know, because I guess when I see that and I think about Darth Maul being utilized more in the Han Solo movie. There's that line that he uses when they're on the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars. It's like, I've been all around the galaxy. I've seen a lot of weird stuff. Darth Maul could have been his definition of some really weird stuff that he saw one time. And even if Darth Maul was in Solo as more the guy like pulling the strings, like the puppet master, and just appearing more. If Han Solo got a glimpse or two of him, it probably could have affected him. To at least put it in his travel experiences of some of the weird shit that he's seen when he's traveled all over the galaxy. Because seeing a Darth Maul somewhere would be pretty shocking. And I'm sure he's seen a lot of alien species, but I believe that and you're gonna have to go. Someone's gonna have to go down the. Well, I'll do it right now. Let's go down the Darth Maul tunnel of love as we figure out. And someone already knows this right off the bat. What species he is, and how rare they are. Because I imagine they're pretty rare. So here we go, Darth Maul. Oh, he's from Dathomir, which is a really crazy place full of force-sensitive witches. In fact, I learned this last night. That on Dathomir, I believe, I have my information correct, was there was a force witch that was so powerful that the Emperor didn't want to go near her. He didn't like her. I think he sent a bunch of Star Destroyers to like hover around the planet just to make sure that she wouldn't get off the planet. But his species is Dathomirian. Zabrak Dathomirian. So he might be related to these witches. From what I understand, the witches were mostly female, these really crazy force-sensitive ones. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't men there. And like I said, when I do all my Star Wars stuff, it's mostly related to the films and not so much to the expanded universe. But I'm learning all the time. God, this kid is crazy. They're playing the hide and go seek right now. So yeah. So that's what I know about him. And I guess he was a boy at one time, and I think he was a Night Brother. So there were Night Brothers, and then there were Night Sisters. And the Night Sisters, one of the Night Sisters was this crazy witch, is the one that the Emperor didn't want to have anything to do with. So I don't know where in the Star Wars history that is. So I think it's pretty weird that Darth Maul is then even a Darth, and even part of the Sith. I know that Darthomirians, I believe, started part of the dark side. But we need to get like a real... we need to get someone in here who really knows what the hell's going on with all this Star Wars crap. Because, like I said, I'm just learning about the expanded universe right now. So he's Darth Maul's in the Clone Wars. See, I really want to like it, but I don't like Star Wars cartoons or that kind of whatever that stuff is, kind of the CGI. I really want to get into it, but I can't get past it. I feel like I'm watching Star Wars Lego, but with more hair or something. But I do want to know. I do want to know more. So we end up talking a lot about Star Wars again. Like I said, because I can't help it, it's in my DNA. So I know depending on what years you were born, there's certain stuff that's just like implanted and hardwired into your existence because you saw them at a certain time. So I saw, Star Wars, and I got introduced to like Kiss, like right at this crazy time. So I grew up with rock and roll and sci-fi on the brain. And when I was about 6 years old, a guy from across the street, I guess because he knew we were listening to records. I don't really remember. I was pretty young, but he brought me like this giant stack of Frank Zappa albums that he found in the trash down the street. So I grew up on "I'm the Slime" from the video, and the Overnight Sensations record, the Roxy and Elsewhere record, the Fillmore June '71 record or whatever. Um, a lot of that Zappa stuff I was totally like way into, and my friends would always make fun of me because the music was so, I thought it was so goofy, and and I guess for me, like at the time when I thought about Frank Zappa, like, well, I was like, Frank Zappa was the bridge between rock and roll and the Muppets somehow. It was like, yeah, I felt like there could have been like the Zappa band Muppets, like the Muppet band was the Zappa band. It was like all kind of, when you're like a kid, you're just like, what the hell? This music is crazy. So it reminded me of like, the Muppet Show and cartoons. And so I really liked it. So it let me know that you could make really complex, not that I realized it exactly at the time, but you can make really crazy rock and roll stuff, but sing about foot odor and monster movies, or a dental floss bush, which I think is impossible. But these kinds of things, you're just like, for a young mind, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty cool to think about. And so I guess to let you know another thing, not that you asked, but almost my whole life, I think until I left my parents' house for the first time, I think I was probably 18. But the whole time I was young, uh, rock and roll radio was on AM radio, and every night I fell asleep listening to the rock and roll radio, AM. So can you imagine the '70s was everything from Kiss, Bee Gees, Hard, Diana Ross. Uh, there was just so much good stuff, and it seemed like it was all kind of mixed together. There wasn't like a rock station that I remember until I think maybe the early '80s in Houston. And by then, everything had gone off of AM. Like all the AM rock stations in Houston turned into country stations, and then you had to turn over to FM and then start listening to rock and roll there. So most of my life, I fell asleep listening to that rock and roll station. And after I got into Kiss, almost every day for I think a couple years, I would call and request a Rocket Ride from Kiss. I was always wanting them to play my song. I never heard them play it. And I don't know if it's because I fell asleep or it's because they just didn't care. Never really figured it out. And then when I got into albums and got into all those Zappa albums and Queen and all kinds of other stuff, Alice Cooper, then I had a record player, and I had the record player where you could stack up to like, I don't know, I think I would stack 6 or 8 albums on there. it'd play a side, and the needle would come out, and then the next record falls down, and then it plays. So then from graduating to radio to record player, I did basically the same thing, which was just run records all night long. Like how my parents didn't murder me and put me in the backyard, I'll never know. I don't think it was that loud, but yeah, I think it would drive you nuts after years and years and years. And then I started playing drums, so those poor people. I really don't know how my parents did it. I really do not know. At least where I live now, if the kid gets into anything, I'm stick her out in the backyard in the workshop, and she can like play all night long. Get her friends over there, make a band or whatever. But for me, like, yeah, I mean, movies and music, and so then, to let you know, I was also like on a steady diet of horror movies on Saturday mornings, and weekday mornings it was like Speed Racer, or was that weekday afternoons? I think it was maybe it was in the afternoon. There was Speed Racer and Ultraman, and then yeah, later on we graduated to cable. So then there was The Shining and The Exorcist and all kinds of crazy stuff. Anyway, I guess that's not really here or there, but I would say I was like a total consuming vast amounts of music and television throughout the 70s, which I don't think is very unusual at all. TV was, I guess still relatively new comparatively. I grew up on Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street and all that other stuff. And yeah, I think that did something weird to my brain, as probably all the YouTube videos do, maybe to kids' brains now. And hopefully, it's not making everyone dumber, making maybe everyone more excited about all the cool stuff that's around. And yeah. So that's it's kind of this thing like went all over the place today. So unless you guys want to shoot some questions or want to bring up some more points, I'd love to crack the jaw like a little bit longer, maybe like another 20 minutes or so. If you guys want to talk about something, it would be a cool thing to get one of you guys on the chat, and we can go ahead and do really talk out some stuff. I had my Mike on here the other day. I don't know if you guys saw that one. We were talking about some collectibles and some other stuff. So make sure, I know most of you guys have already subscribed to the station. I really appreciate it. Make sure to give this a like. Hit a like button. There's 5 of you in here. There's only 3 likes. So please don't be stingy. And then leave comments when this thing goes up. And then hopefully in a day or two, I'm going to figure out this restream dashboard, because I'm still getting the feed from the YouTube stream, like the chat section, but I just didn't ever see it like cranking on over here on YouTube. So that's why I jumped off of that and restarted with a new stream key. Oh, hey Jason, man, thanks for showing up, dude. And Jason's artwork will come out, I swear, sometime. I just talked to the lady in Houston about getting some help screen printing a ton of shirts I got to do. So hopefully that'll be coming up. He's a great artist. You can see his stuff is over on Instagram. But yeah, that should come out soon. Should come out pretty soon. Okay. All right. Looks like everyone's talked out. I'm talked out. I'm coffeeed out. I got to do a bunch of mail still. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, I think. Yeah, tomorrow. Have a good day.